this video, we're going to talk about the spin box, but I'm also going to show you different ways of actually setting this value. The spin box itself is just dead simple. It's two buttons. You can get the value out. It just works. It's dead simple. So let's go in here. I've already got the controls imported. Design view. I'm just going to build this super fast. I'm going to say grid. Scale this a little bit. Going to select him. This is going to have two columns and with a 25 spacing. Spin box itself, go ahead and drag and drop, and let's put a label in there. Let's beef this label up graphically a little bit. Bold, 25. Whipping through this because we have done this numerous times. All right, so let me grab this grid. I'm going to resize him. Or her. I didn't want to assume the gender of that grid. And then we're going to move it to the center. We can zoom in using Control middle mouse and get this pixel perfect if we want to, but we really don't need to. Save, zoom out. Let's run this. What we're going to do next, we're going to wire up the value change to this label. This is super simple, but there's multiple ways to do it. First off, our buddy, connections. Got the wrong target, so I'm going to go down spin box and then value modified. I'm going to save my work because as we've demonstrated, this has a nasty habit of crashing on us, and we're going to move this up here. And we're going to say label.text, and we can say equals spinbox.text, or actually value, sorry. Or we can say target.value. Which way is the right way? It doesn't really matter. Target is the spin box, and spin box points to this guy anyway, so it doesn't really matter. They're both essentially under the hood. If you're thinking in terms of C++, they're basically pointers. Save, run. ... just works. So that's one way of doing it. I'm going to go in, comment out this connection. The alternate way is we can actually do it inline. And we want on value changed. Notice how the connections did value modified. We can do that as well. And we're going to say label.text equals value. Now we don't have to say spinbox.value or target value because target doesn't exist here because we're inline, meaning we can read from this. Going back to our C++ or JavaScript days, those brackets denote scope. So we have full read access to anything in that scope. Save, run. And it works. Last but not least, a good old favorite of just about every graphic designer out there is we can make sure the label's selected, and we can go to the text and click this little octagon and set binding. From here, we can just say, actually we can say spinbox.value. There we go. And hit OK. The little chains appear, which means that is now bound. And as soon as we run, bang, it just works. So 3 methods, but which one should you use and why? Well, honestly, it doesn't really matter. A lot of folks like to do what's called a property binding. That way, they don't really have to mess around with any of this stuff. You'd use an inline right here if you wanted to make sure that when you delete this, everything else is deleted. If you had other things you wanted to do, like if you wanted to do a lot of code, call a lot of functions, that's typically when people will use connections. The major takeaway from this thing is there's multiple ways to link these up, and the spin box itself is just dead simple to work with.